felt when we were discussing it. And yes, they have a lot of things to do. The mayor is a busy man. The Parks Commission meets once a month. That's what the charter says is once a month minimum. Could they have special work sessions? Of course they could. We're talking about a small park in each place, exception of Harder, because that's a giant swath of land there. And there is floodwater mitigation strategy passed in 18 that the county has that our stormwater director, Caroline Crawford, did submit. So if anybody was wondering where the mayor said maybe stormwater retention, it is very detailed in there in the report. But I see how passionate every single one of us got about this issue. I'm hoping that the Parks Commission and the administration sees the same passion and says, you know what, let's get a plan together, because if this fails, we want to be able to implement things right away because that was the will of the people. If it passes, the administration has the tool to say, okay, now we have a look-see at possibly doing this. But it's when we look at it, like I said, it's 7 months. If the commission can't figure out what to do in 7 months with these small areas, Harder excluded being that big swath, I don't know how else to help them. They are the commission. We confirmed them. We trusted them from the mayor's appointments. The mayor has his appointees. We trust them. Now they've got a clock. They've got 7 months if it passes. I'm sorry?
What's the hurry? 7 months, I mean.
Right. But a ballot issue, and I'll tell you this, the Charter Review Commission, you remember when we put that on the ballot? And said that he has to have it, the mayor has to have it in place by March. Why did we do that? Does anybody remember? Because the Charter Review Commission that year was going to send us their recommendations with just enough time for one reading with emergency language to make the time limit to go to the ballot. That's cheating our residents. Our residents deserve the time when it comes to something that we're going to put on the ballot. When we put tax issues on the ballot, the 3-year levy that failed, the police levy that failed, how long did we work on that before we put that on the ballot? The same goes for these. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Heidick. Is there anybody else in the body? Mrs. Fry?
I just want to say to Mr. Heidick that all of this conversation that we've been having about the sale and what have you is basically based on the fact that we would like to know that you were going to do that. And as you said, if we trust the parks, I think they should be proposing it to us. And, you know, you can have your opinion, I can have mine, but I think that that's why there was so much discussion. Then the fact that we had two conflicting pieces of legislation on the same agenda sheet, which you had to even switch them up so that we could discuss them, that is the reason that you got so much, if you want to call it pushback, or you got so many people commenting on this, because it was like we were taken off guard. And you just mentioned that the Charter Review Committee gave their recommendations too late. Well, this is too late also for having any kind of discussion. We have all talked about selling parks, but I think it's up to the Parks Commission to decide which ones really would be the ones that should go. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not criticizing you. I'm just saying that I think that everybody would like to know in advance before we're given issues that take a little bit more thought than yes and no. That's it. I pass.
Mrs. Angela?
Yes, I just would like to know personally why we weren't all CC'd on this ahead of time. You had a one line that went to the law director, and according to what Mrs. Fry, we were all kind of stunned about that. Being on the Parks Commission for 2 years, I was kind of floored about that, because the Parks Commission has always talked about that. But and when they talked about it, they didn't talk about selling it. They talked about seeing if the city was interested in using it for any type of anything. So I was taken back because, you know, your board of control, you wanted to add 2 more people because you want to make sure what they're doing, and you didn't say anything to any of us. I mean, Mrs. Fry's on your committee, and you never even CC'd her. Why? Why? And then you sit there and say transparency. I don't want to ever hear that word in this council again, because it's upsetting. You know, when you get calls, people are calling you, they want to know what's going on. You know, I think that we didn't prove that we are a good council, that we will work together. We did not prove that, and we need to do that. I had said last time I'm on short time, but that doesn't mean I'm not doing my homework. That means I'm doing double homework. So, Mr. Heide, this could have all kind of smoothed out if you would have done what chair, well, you were co-chair, if you would have sent that out to everybody, and then we would have had time to discuss it. It could have been open discussion. We could have made plans to go to the Parks Commission. You know, there's ways of doing things, and that's upsetting. That's upsetting to me. You know, I've been in OPERS for 33 years. I know nobody cares, and I don't care if they don't care. But you don't treat people that way. And so please just keep that in the back of your mind. When you're on a committee, there's a reason you're on a committee. Mr. Greer put you as co-chair, Mr. Jaber as chair, and Mrs. Fry. And I think that is absolutely wrong. And I will say it again, and I don't care what anybody thinks about me. That's wrong to do that. You know, you had conversation with somebody about this, and it never got to us other than boom. It was just thrown at us on Monday morning, and we were meeting Monday night. So let's just all keep in mind that if we're going to work together, then we're going to work together. And if we're not, so be it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Angeloff. Mr. Heidick?
Thank you, Mr. President. Councilor Angeloff did ask me for why, and if you don't mind, I would like to answer.
Try to limit discussion, but you can respond.
Okay. No one saw it till it was on the matters requested, is that correct?
On the what?
On the matters requested for the sale of the parks.
I saw the one-line email that you did, and I'm not getting at you at this amount.
No.
So
I'm not saying that. But my point is, we weren't privy to the construction of the or the purchase of the playground at College Park till we saw it on the matters requested. So my question is kind of, what is the difference? That one hit us on that day on the agenda. I was not privy to it. Were you privy to it before it came that day?
No, sir.
Okay, and you're the chair. So
We've
it's not that I'm the only one that suddenly it's on matters requested. It comes from everybody. It has to hit it eventually.
I don't know what you're talking about, matters requested.
The matters
You sent an
requested.
email to the law director,
Mhm.
to Lori, and to Renee.
At the deadline.
And you didn't say anything. There you put Carter, College, and Hart, or what is it?
Harder. Mhm.
Okay, then, pending legislation.
Mhm.
That was the email that we got, period. What was going on with that other stuff?
Because they were ballot issues, I wanted to go through Ms. Fox and Director Miller. Because it would be a ballot issue, I had to know at that deadline to make sure that we could get 3 readings, non-emergency, at that deadline, if I'm requesting, if what I'm requesting passes the legal litmus
We
test.
didn't get it till Monday. We have council Monday night. We didn't even see your email
Point
until
of order,
Monday.
this
So,
is
that's done.
not
Yeah, I'm
conducive.
done. I'm done. Thank you, Mr. Greer. Thank you, Mr. Heidi.
All right, Mr. Jaber?
Thank you, Mr. Gray. I want to thank the audience coming out today and the young adults. Thanks for you guys coming out. Hope you guys can bring more of your friends. You guys can do this more often on Mondays. It's nice to see the younger adults and also the 2 gentlemen here also. Thanks for coming in. And look forward to seeing you guys more in the future, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat, for coming. We haven't seen you for a while.
Maybe I'll start taking an hour vacation on
There
Mondays.
you go.
They can't force me to 12 hours.
Is there anybody else on the council that has any remarks? I do have something in proxy for Councilwoman Thompson. She said pickleball is this Friday. Registration starts at 8:30 for 50 and up, and 4 o'clock for skill level 3.0 to 4.0. They almost sold out. They have a couple openings left for their pickleball, and people can sign up for that until tomorrow at noon. This all goes for Magic's Ready to Learn, providing school supplies for K through 5. I do, just on the remarks for today, the rules do say 10 days prior to the committee of the whole meeting. I question that. I will present a possible change to the council rules that say 10 days prior to the actual committee that it's in, rather than the committee of the whole. That's where a piece of legislation could seep in. The chair would only have 1 day to know. So we'll look at that. I'll look at the possibilities to try to clear up the rules and forward that to everybody. And our next meeting is Monday, May 22nd, which will be a legislative meeting. Is there anybody, department heads, that want to say something? Mr. Teodecki?
So I did want to take just a minute to remind everybody that tall grass, it's that time of the year. We did place an ad in the Southside Leader this past week. The inspectors were out better part of today and the last few days looking, citing, and continuing to try and visit the neighborhoods and take on high grass based on complaints, your complaints, and other of what they see out there. Just as a reminder, the city doesn't want to cut anybody's grass. We're, going to continue to follow up on that. The inspector's time to view it, tag it, post it, follow it up through the system, invoice it, and put it on the assessment takes a lot of time from us. We would rather be doing other things. So again, I hope that they do that. Something new we're going to add this year, not based on ordinance, we're not required to, but what we hope to do is take our rental registration list. We've got a much better database built the past few years. A lot of the rentals we heard from last year were some of the ones that didn't get the notice of the 5-day like they wanted to. We did what we needed to through our process, but we're going to try and do a courtesy this year and track those that are rental properties. If they're properly registered, we're going to do our best to reach out to the email, the phone number, text, and do what we can to let that landlord know that their property's been tagged. We hope that cuts down on the time it takes. Grass can grow a lot further in 5 days, so hopefully they hit it quickly if they get that kind of secondary notice to clean things up even quicker. So we're going to try that this year. The next thing after the drip, 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 I figured I'd give a quick update on that. May 22nd, which is right around the corner, we're scheduled to start the roof job. I do want to remind everybody that's a tentative date. The contractor still needs to look forward, make sure they have enough days in a row that are dry before they get started. They will start on the 3 highest roof sections first and work their way down. This would be the second phase or the second section that would be redone. I will try and get as much notice on parking that would have to be displaced. We'll lose a few parking spots here and there to put dumpsters, make access for the crane to swing in the equipment, and some disturbances inside. We're going to minimize it as much as we can, try and work on off days of council, but this ceiling grid will all be replaced as part of that project. The heating units will all be replaced. The mismatched lights are out. That was already part of the plan, so those bothered me too. So just to let you know that this will be taking place. So when you see the contractor showing up, you'll know that the roof is on its way. So.
Thank you.
Yes.
The properties that FEMA has taken over and purchased that have 5-foot tall grass on them already, are they on a list for the city to mow? Because they are now the city's headache.
Thank you. I'll look into that. Anything else?
I have one thing. Can I?
Absolutely.
We have to meet as per this, one of my constituents coming in, because you do know that I email everybody, and everybody says, why do you do that? Well, because we do have a really big problem, and I will say to the rest of council too, what Mr. Jeanette said should take place. If you see something, like they say at the high school, say something.
And we do. We take every phone call, every text, every email seriously, and our inspectors are out there every day. And if you don't see them out there, that's because they're in the office tracking invoicing, taking care of the paperwork side of every violation, working with the law department, moving all of these forward. So they do take it seriously every time.
I have a question for you.
Yes,
This guy to come in with all the funny pages. stuff
Yes.
there. You people don't have the bodies to take care of that stuff. The police department, zoning department. Is this guy living in a fantasy
no, he used to be
land?
the mayor.
Oh, I
And,
don't know.
and this book here, I have the emails to cover all of these complaints because it is overwhelming. It's overwhelming. And in areas where you never thought this would happen, we have people that just do not
Here.
move when you ask them.
But on the same token, we do appreciate the feedback, because
Right.
with the feedback, sometimes alerts us to go out there immediately and take the ones that we can't get to every street every day. So we do appreciate the feedback on that too, to follow up on.
Price of license plates and stuff like that. I can understand why you would park at the
Oh, but you have to see these places. Yes.
Have a motion to adjourn.
That's okay.
Okay.
Is there any other comments from department heads? Is, the mayor's not here, did Mr. Shreve, or anybody speaking on behalf of the mayor tonight at all?
No, not tonight.
Okay, thank you. With nothing else, this meeting is adjourned at 8:06 PM. Thank you.
Thank you.